Hi, my name is Jacqueline Karanachwa. So I'm gonna talk about origin of reptile. So as we can see the presentation that reptile already 350 million years old. So reptile was arose from amphibian and already had in Mesozoic era, and to study about reptile and amphibian we call it herpetology. So now we're gonna talk about evolution of dinosaur, which is dinosaur is a group of ancient reptiles that dominate life 235 million years ago. Evolution of dinosaur also affected by asteroid impact hypothesis, which is asteroid hit the earth and creating a lot of dust that reduce some amount of sunlight, causing massive climatic change. Only 4 order of reptiles that survives from the mass extinction, which is Chronata, Chelonia, Crocodilia, and Rhynchocephalia. And all that order the first terrestrial vertebrate. And now we're gonna talk about general characteristic of reptile. Reptile was the first vertebrate that lived on land. They can live in various types of different habitats such as tropical forest, ocean, river, and lake. Their scale keep moisture inside, which is the reptile egg does not dry out on the land. Reptiles are not found in cool regions because they are cold-blooded. All reptiles share the same characteristics, such as reptile body covered in scale, and the reptile have claw tools, and reptile also was ectothermic, which is cold-blooded. Reptiles also lack a feather or any form of hair. They also have an internal skeleton and heart partly with ventricle, and they also have a lung, and they reproduce internally and have an amniotic egg. Now we're gonna talk about reptile movement and response. So reptile must have a strong skeleton, and then they must have a claws and leg position under the body, and have a highly good vision so they can adapt it in dry environment. Talk about endoskeleton. Reptile must have a strong skeleton made with bone. Most reptiles have a 2 limbs. Snake and some lizards lack of leg and leg position under the body so that reptile can move faster and easier. Reptiles also have a tooth and claws so they can climbing and digging, and it also allows reptile to run quickly over a short distance.
Sensory system vision. Vision is one of important sense of reptiles, rely on sight to detect predator and prey, have a big eyes and have movable eyelids. Snake and geckos lack of eyelids. Reptiles that are active at night can see very well in the dark. Sensory system vision. Vision is one of important sense of reptiles, rely on sight to detect predator and prey, have a big eyes and have movable eyelids. Snake and geckos lack of eyelids. Reptiles that are active at night can see very well in the dark. Next sensory system, hearing. Hearing is very important sense organ to reptile. Sound wave first strike the tympanum, eardrum, and then transmitted to the inner ear. Snake leg of tympanum, they detect ground vibrations through the bones of their jaw. Sensory system, Jacobson organ. Reptiles stick their tongue out to collect small particles from the air. The small particle come in Jacobson organ. The Jacobson organ is specialized sense organ in the roof of mouth of many of reptiles. It is sensitive to odor, used to taste environment. Next is body temperature controls. Reptiles are ectothermic. They cannot heat their own body using their metabolism. A reptile body temperature is mostly determined by the temperature of environment. Reptile may bask in the sun to warm up or seek shade to cool down. At very low temperature, reptiles slow down and may not be function.
Hi, my name is Nur Akila binti Ismail and I'm going to talk about respiration and circulation. Okay, for reptile lung, first, lungs with large surface area. Reptiles' lungs have many internal folds which give the lungs a large surface area for oxygen exchange. Plus, strong muscles in the rib cage allow air to move in and out of the lung quickly, which increase lung efficiency. Okay, second is reptile heart. A heart that almost completely divided into 4 chambers. The septum partly divides the ventricle into right and left halves, which is it enables a much better but still incomplete separation of oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood. Oxygen is delivered to the body cell more efficiently in reptiles than in amphibians. Next is reptile reproduction. Reptile reproduction occurs through internal fertilization. Many reptiles are oviparous. The young hatch from eggs that are laid outside the mother's body. Some snakes and lizards are ovoviviparous, which means fertilized eggs remain inside the female. This is to protect eggs from predators, and mostly reptiles do not care for their young. Alligator and crocodiles are an exception. For amniotic egg, an amniotic egg contains both a water supply and food supply. Amniotic eggs are key to reptile success as a terrestrial animal. They are water-like. Amniotic egg structure. The shell and abdomen protects and cushions the embryo. It also source of nutrients. There are 4 membranes in the amniotic egg. First, amnion, cushion the embryo. Second, yolk sac. It contains the embryo's main food supply, blood vessel attached here. Third, allantois, to store waste and the embryo organ for gas exchange. Fourth, chorion. It allows oxygen to enter the egg and carbon dioxide to leave the egg.
The general characteristic of snakes. Snakes in suborder Serpentes. Snakes have 2,920 different species, either venomous and non-venomous. Snakes also sensitive to vibration carried in ground, have a spectacle or clear scale over their eyes. Some snakes give pitch organs on their face, and smaller snakes are in the blind snakes families. Larger snakes are reticulated pythons and green anacondas. Snakes that have dull color use it for camouflage, while those that are bright color are usually poisonous. They use their bright colors to warn predators to stay off. And lastly, some non-poisonous snakes mimic the patterns.
And this picture shows some type of snake.
Hi, I would like to present about the internal and external morphology of snakes. As you can see, for the first picture, it shows you the head of snakes. It's specified for the venomous snakes. Each part of head have their own functions. We look at the scale. Each of the overlapping small hard thin plates covering the snake's body. And for the tongue sheath, is protective sheaths located in front of the glottis into which the tongue retracts. Fork tongue, elongated movable fork mouth parts having olfactory, tactile and gustatory functions. It is not used to ingest food. Tooth is hard pointed structure that curves backwards and is fixed to the jaws. It grows continually and is used to immobilize prey but not to chew. Glottis. Glottis is opening in the respiratory system located in the lower portion of the buccal cavity through which air circulated. Venom gland is organ producing an acidic secretion made of venom. It is attached to the fang. Fang is a large curved tooth located on the maxilla and connected to the venom gland. It allows the snake to grab its prey to inject it with venom. Next, we look at fang. Fang is large curved tooth located on the maxilla and connected to the venom gland. It allows the snakes to grab its prey to inject it with venom. Venom conducting tube is tube carrying venom from the venom gland to the venom canal. Venom canal is hollow fissure in the fang allowing the venom to be injected by beating. Pit. Pit is sensory organ forming a cavity between the eye and the nostril. It allows the snake to sense the variations in temperature and to locate its prey. An eye is organ of sight covered with a transparent scale. It has a wide field of vision and mainly perceives motion and colors. Next, we look at a vertical pupil. Vertical pupil is oval and vertical opening of the eye, especially adapted to the dark. Image producing light enters through it. And lastly is nostril. Nostril is external orifice of the nasal cavity located above the mouth and having olfactory and respiratory functions. Then we move to the second picture. It shows you the internal and external morphology of snakes. It included the heart, lung, esophagus, liver, kidney, rectal, gallbladder, and many more. Each organ have their own functions, like I had explained before. So we look at the function of heart. Heart is a muscular organ helping blood to circulate. Lung is respiratory organ made up of an extensible tissue and forming a sac. Air enters through the mouth and nostril and flows into the lung. Esophagus is canal of the anterior portion of the digestive tract, which is it carries food to the stomach. Liver is glands secreting mostly a substrate, or what we call it bile, that contributes to the digestion. Next, kidney. Kidney is organ secreting urine. It eliminates toxic substance from the body. Rectal. Rectal is pieces of scale at the end of the tail. The snake shakes them to scare away its enemies. Next is tail. Tail is thin elongated terminal end of the body. Intestine is a section of the digestive tract between the stomach and the anus where absorption of nutrients is carried out and waste is transformed into fecal matter. Gallbladder is a small reservoir in which bile secreted by the liver collects before being discharged into the intestine during digestion. Then we look at stomach. Stomach is a dilated section of the digestive tract preceding the intestine. It receives food to be digested. Last is belly scale. Belly scale is each of the short, white, fine scales that are set in a single row and cover the snake's belly. Thank you.
So we moving on to the next slide. Burmese phyton. The Burmese phyton, Phyton olorus, is a phyton family Boidae that their lifespan may be 10 to 15 years. Morphology. Burmese phytons have an intricate pattern of marking irregular brown blotches on a yellow background. The Burmese phyton is widely bred in captivity and comes in a number of mutant forms including albino. They also can grow rapidly, attaining 2 meters in length in their first year and perhaps reaching to 8 meters. Distribution. Burmese phytons are native to India, Ceylon and Southeast Asia, especially in Myanmar. Habitat. They are often found near water and are both terrestrial and arboreal. Last but not least, the diet. Burmese phytons only constrict mammals and birds. So that's all for me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and hi to Dr. Irene and my fellow friends. Today, me, Muhammad Arif and Muhammad Shazlan from Group 4 Reptiles going to present about the dissection of Burmese phyton. As we can see, we need to record the length of Burmese phyton before the dissection for the intake data purposes, which is 273.8 cm and the total length is 313.7 cm. After that, we cut the body by using scalpel blade, just like this, and we also use the scissor to cut the snake's body for more easier access to its internal organ, as you can see in the video, just like that. So after that, the fat tissue are in such a range that they are in the same membrane across the entire ventral side of the snake. So we can cut one side and remove the other, and after that we remove it in one big tract. So we cut it just like this. So significantly, the reason why we remove it is we can use it to test for the heavy metals and other contaminants. After that, we have 3 chambered part. There is some more fat tissue in this area, and following this is the trachea with the part of esophagus was cut. So we can see that it can expand a lot and follows into here, except this one. The digestive tract runs all the way down to the stomach and into the lower gastrointestinal tract. So over here, below the heart, we can see the liver and even some lungs over here, which has an interesting tissue. So we can have a look at the texture over here. One thing we look for is to make sure that it has these intake tissues between the lungs. So we cut it to see what inside of it, just like that. Cut. So we can see the lungs tissue over here, So just like that, just cut it. Yeah, that's the lung tissue organ. Okay, moving on to the down, which is this is the stomach, and it is slightly larger than the rest of the tract, the gallbladder, and can also find and see the pancreas with the spleen, and these are actually snake testes. So which have the best difference, so we can see the two pairs running or the pairs running down to the kidney.
So here we can see we got pair of kidney and the lower GI tract, so you can see from here. Also down here we got the hemipenis that associated with the testis. Okay. So here we got a pin structure that we call adrenal glands. As we can see, some of them are medial to the testis and can be found on both testes. Here we can see it, the adrenal glands. Okay, what we do now is we collect a sample from the testis and do sperm smear to see if they're very viable. And we collect liver and tissue sample, including the tail, so we can test for heavy metal and other contaminant. Okay. Now here we got three segment of chambers, as we can see that need to be checked if there's any irregularities. As you can see, we check we make some checking process on it. Okay, after that about the liver here, we are just gonna take some regular sample by remove piece of it by cut on it. We using the scissors to cut on it. Here we go, we cut on it. Okay. Okay, here we also take some of its tissue, probably used to test for any contaminant and heavy metal. Here we take some of its tissue. Okay, this is a spleen. As we can see, snake spleen, pancreas, that associated with the guts, and also gallbladder. Yeah, gallbladder. Next, we are removing intestinal tract by cutting it. We are also using the scissors to cutting it, to weigh it and collect the content in it. Here we go, we cut. Okay, next we are squeezing out the guts by cut off each segment, apply the pressure and run it down. Okay, we squeezing out on it. Here we go. Okay, so here this is the look inside the stomach. Here we can see. Okay, finally we are doing cleaning process after already collect all sample that we need.